Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. I'm doing a series of spotlights on remarkable business intermediaries and brokers from across the country. And joining me on this segment is Sergio DeCesare. He's the founder of Max Business Profit. Sergio, welcome to the program.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Sergio, tell us a little bit about your work and specifically tell us about who are the types of clients that you specialize in helping and working with.
Well, Mark, I have a pretty unique practice. My day job is usually coaching small businesses, either in their exit strategies, working up to a business sale, or just helping them grow and scale if possible. I'm a certified business coach as well as a certified business intermediary. So I have a whole wide range of different businesses and business people I work with.
Fantastic. And with these business owners, they're great at starting businesses, growth, but when it comes time to selling, the inspiration for this series is the sort of the lack of knowledge on where to start. So, is that what you find? And what are the biggest concerns on business owners' minds in regards to selling when they first reach out to you?
Well, the biggest problem in selling a business is a lot of times when business owners come to me wanting to sell their business, it's something that they probably just thought of in the last day, week, month, or whatever. There's usually not a whole lot of prep that they have done to into the business, given to the business to prep them for maximizing the value at the end of the cycle. So a lot of times I'll get in front of a business owner, and I'll say, well, how much do you think that business is worth? And they'll give me some crazy number, right? Like $1 million seems to be that magic mark for business owners. Oh, it's worth $1 million. Okay, so tell me how it's worth $1 million when you only took home, $30,000 after taxes. That's not a business. That's a job. No one's going to spend $1 million to buy a $50,000 a year job.
So that's one of the myths or misconceptions around this. Are there any other big preconceived notions or myths that business owners think about in regards to selling?
Well, I think the biggest one that gets propagated almost on a daily basis, even on the internet, is the formulas people come up with to determine what the value of their business is. I've heard all kinds of ranges of multiples, taking top line revenue when, really at the end of the day, it's pretty much what your net revenues are plus your assets. And there may be a multiple associated with that industry, but those multiples actually go up in size, not down as the business makes more and more money. So if you're under $1 million, you're not going to get a 5 or 6 multiple on your net income as a starting place for the valuation of your business. And a lot of people they just don't grasp that.
We're coming out of a pandemic, and that's triggered a lot of business owners to really consider, is this time to sell a business? But it also makes them wonder, is it a good time to sell a business? What's the opportunity been like? Is this actually a good time to sell a business today?
I would say it's still a pretty good time to sell a business, depending where your business is on that economic cycle. It's never a bad time to sell a business, depending on the business. Certain industries thrive when we have recessionary or inflationary pressures on the economy. Other businesses do not. But if you haven't prepped for that sale, or you're at a point, and this happens all the time, where I get a business owner who's like, I'm kind of burned out. I think it's time for me to sell. Well, okay, that's great. Unfortunately, you've kind of let your business slide over the last 6, 8, 9 months, and now you've come to the realization that you can't get a handle on it anymore, and you want to sell it. That's the worst time to sell a business.
So, speaking of that, and speaking of like businesses that go unsold, I've heard that as much as 80% of businesses that go on the market that aren't well prepared end up unsold. Can you kind of give us some insights on what are the biggest factors that you find that sabotage the business from selling?
Absolutely. And you're accurate. That's an accurate figure. Matter of fact, I gave a presentation yesterday, and I stood in front of a bunch of people and said, nationally, it's probably 75% of the businesses put on the market do not sell. Probably in the state of Florida, it's probably closer to 80%. And the reason is these businesses, they may get placed for sale, but if you don't have clean books, okay, if you don't have your processes in place, if the owner has to be there every day or every week to make sure the work gets done, that's a tough sell for somebody. That's a tough sell. If you're going to ask all this money for a business, most people are looking for a turnkey operation. Most people are not looking for, to spend $1 million to make $50,000 a year. They're not looking for that. And I think when you have all that competition out there of all the different businesses, and a lot of them are turnkey and most of them are not, you're up against other businesses that either make more or have less owner involvement and have cleaner books. We can prove the income. I get a lot of business owners who are like, well, we take a lot of cash. Okay, well, great. Where's the books on the cash? Show me the deposits. Show me, I'm not the IRS. I don't care. And a lot of times they're like, oh, well, we don't track that. Well, then you're telling me a story. I can't prove that.
Makes a lot of sense. Sergio, what inspired you to become a business intermediary and help people sell their businesses? How did you get started in the field?
It's actually a funny story, Mark, because I hadn't always been a business broker or intermediary. I got kind of introduced to it as a career, so to speak, by another broker who had a bunch of people coming to him wanting to sell their businesses. They weren't ready to sell. Their books were a mess, their processes were a mess. They didn't have much to sell. So he had heard around town that I was helping these businesses get all their ducks in a row, and have something to sell. So he came to me and he said, hey, listen, between what you do and what I do, why don't we kind of put a plan together where these businesses, when they come, they want me to list it. They're not ready to list it. I'll turn them over to you. You get them whipped into shape, and then we'll list them and sell them. And that's how I actually got into being an intermediary. And I had a great success story last month where a gentleman who's worked with me a couple of years ago and has following my plan over the last couple of years had taken a home-based business, a franchise nonetheless, and in the last 3 years, and we ended up selling that last month for $1.75 million.
Wow, congratulations. It sounds
Thank
like you
you.
have a really solid process there.
We do.
Sergio, before I ask you my last question, is there anything that I didn't think to ask you that you feel is important to share to business owners that are considering selling today in today's economy?
Absolutely. If you're considering selling anytime in the next 3 to 5 years, you need to start that process now. Okay. That means getting with a business exit strategist such as myself, finding out what processes have to be put in place, finding out how to add value to that business. Because the more value you add, whether it's intrinsic, extrinsic, whether it's in top line revenue or what have you, that adds to the end result. Okay. Perfect example. This deal we just sold for 1.75 million. One of the things that actually was able to get us our full price on that. I did the valuation on it. I do paid valuations. But every time you have a deal come through, there's always some negotiation and stuff. We did not negotiate because we had the value there. And one of the reasons why we had the value there is because we had shown how the owner of this business had actually contributed to his pension to the tune of almost $750,000 during that time. So you can't contribute $750,000 to a pension if you're not making that top line revenue. So preparation starts now, starts today if you want to sell in 3 to 5 years.
For business owners listening in areas that you can serve that really resonate with your message and would love to speak with you and get your help, how can they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
Well, that's pretty easy. If you do a Google search of my name, Sergio DeCesare, I come up in a lot of different places. I'm a contributor. I do a lot of public speaking, but my website, maxbusinessprofits.com, is one of the sites you can find me on, or you can email me direct, Sergio at maxbusinessprofits.com, or you can contact me via phone, 239-580-7408. I love to talk to people. I hand out a lot of advice. I don't charge for this stuff because, I like to see people succeed. I like to see people secure their futures and and their futures of their family through their business. Turn your business into an asset, not just a job.
Sergio, this has been terrific. I really appreciate you stopping by and sharing with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you, Mark. I'd love to show up anytime you want.
That was Sergio DeCesare. He's the founder of Max Business Profits. And this segment's brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.